Hey guys, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty Advantage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks so much for coming back to Agent Success Secrets and joining me along the journey. And today I'm super excited to share my new friend, Richard Schulman, with you from Los Angeles, California, Keller Williams Realty.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Richard. I knew from our first Facebook message back and forth that we would just be lifelong friends.
I think that sounds about right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so today we're going to talk about your favorite topic, title insurance.
I just don't think we spend enough time talking about title insurance.
And so that people will actually stick around and watch this a little longer, let's change the subject really quick. And really, we just want to know about you. I mean, you shared your award for being number 3 in all of the company, so you might have some knowledge to share with people.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago, so it doesn't count anymore.
Well, why don't we just let everybody know a little bit about you, where you're from, how you got in this crazy business, and what your team looks like, what your production was last year, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so a lot of questions there. I'll just keep talking and you stop me when you get bored. So I've been in real estate 15 years. I've been at KW for 12. I just restarted my 12th year. And I sort of joined KW by accident. It was the closest office to where I was moving to, but it was a brand new brand in the area. Mm-hmm. And when Rob said cap to me, I was like, okay, this is great, because I was leaving Prudential as a $4 million producer, having paid $20K more than my cap would have been at KW. So right away, I'm like, this is great. I'm here for that. That was 12 years ago in August. So it's been quite a journey. I really did not get into the training and culture aspect of KW for a while, partially because it was a newer brand. It didn't have that same power that it does now. But it took a few years, but ultimately I got into the coaching and training. So Rob gave me a ticket. My team leader, Rob, gave me a ticket for family reunion in Anaheim. Not the one last year, but the one 8 years ago. And then I got really into things. That sort of was like a big turning point. I got an assistant. I started building a team. It's been 9 years since I hired my first buyer's agent. So it's been a long journey. And everyone says like, you make a lot of mistakes. So you do that. You hire the wrong people and you screw up managing them, and all that stuff happens. So fast forward to today, we have about 10 agents on the team. We have an operations manager. We have an internal sales manager. So we've internalized all the coaching and training aspects. So when we interview you, Jenny, if you're going to talk about why should I join the Schulman team versus any other team, well, we would say one of the things that we have, not only do we have all the KW training that you're tied into, but we have our own internal training that we do. So KW gives us a lot of the base training, but we can add on top of that really customized personal training to our agents. So we have a sales manager, we have an operations manager, we have a lead admin, and we have a support admin. So we have like 4 full-time people. We have a couple of showing assistants and about 10 agents, like I said. Last year it was our best year on both categories. We did 172 units for $124.7 million. This year, we're probably going to do 150, 160 units for 130, 140 million. So our price point's going up. Our unit count is going down a little bit. We've turned over a lot of the agents on the team in the last year, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So, but our price point's moving up. So we're happy about that. So that's the brief overview, if that works.
Well, that's a great overview, and congratulations on all the business. And I guess let's dive into, you were recently on stage at a mega camp, and you had lots of fans in just the simple message that you shared. So why don't you kind of sum that up, what your real theme was on that topic?
Yeah, so that was really, that's been a long time coming, the sort of, the thought process on lead generation. I started teaching a MAPS group call on lead generation, and it really made me think, I knew what I was doing, but when you teach someone how to do something, you really have to think about what you're doing and what's working and why you're doing it. And so the condensed version, because I know your viewers don't want a 3-hour call, is basically we're just looking at, okay, where does our business actually come from, Jenny, right? Like, we spend all this time on Facebook, going to things and spending money on things. And we're spending all this money and effort, like getting leads from the internet and door knocking and farming, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not saying those things aren't valid or not good, but when you, at the end of the day, look at where does my business come from? Where does my profitable business come from? It comes from our sphere of influence, right? And the idea was, okay, and let's not say sphere of influence is not our 5 or 10 best friends that we see all the time. It's the 300 or 400 people that know us face to face that would stop us in the market. And how do we get in front of them? And the simple answer was, instead of calling them and having a conversation over the phone, the idea was to text them and ask them for coffee. Mm-hmm. So over the years, we sort of played around with this idea. And the idea was basically, hey, Jenny, let's say we went to high school together and I haven't seen you in a while. I say, hey, Jenny, if you want to grab coffee next week, I'm going to be in your neighborhood, right? Or whatever the relationship is, doesn't really matter. Just, hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee next week? And if you go to the 300 or 400 people that you know, then we see that you're going to be able to make an appointment with well over half of them. And what happens is, one, you're maintaining and building a relationship, which is great. But two, if you actually did that to 100 people, the data shows us that 5 to 7 of those people are going to buy or sell a home in the next 12 months. So statistically, one of those 100 people is probably in the process of buying or selling a home right now. And so the possibilities are endless. So that's sort of the answer is like, right now, what can you do today? You guys can pause this or make a note, and after this call, go find your phone. Don't text your 5 or 10 best friends that you've just seen. Text the next 20 people who you haven't seen in a month or two and say, hey, you want to grab coffee? And more than half of them will say yes. And someone in there is going to do business or refer you to someone who's going to do business in the next few months. It's impossible for it to not work. So there's the answer.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that you've looked at your numbers to see, like, when you had this aha moment of, wow, it's just getting out and having actual contact with people, face-to-face, right, coffee contact. What did you see? How did you see your numbers increase over time, or at least more profitable, really?
Yeah, so I mentioned it's more profitable. So, when you look at your sphere of influence, what I find at least is that your sphere of influence typically is at a higher price point than your internet leads would be. Maybe your door knocking or farming is consistent with the price point that your friends are at. But generally, I find across areas, the sphere of influence is a higher price point. Those clients are more loyal to you, not 100% loyal, but getting a Zillow lead is, first of all, expensive. It's time consuming because you have to hunt them down, and then they may or may not be loyal to you. Whereas a friend lead says, we're not really looking yet. We'll go to open houses and we'll call you when we really want to get serious, right? That's your experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I find that a lot of my friends do like all of the painful like pre-searching on their own and then come to me when they're like, okay, we know we want to live in these 2 neighborhoods, blah, blah, blah. Help us out from here. Or at least they say, listen, we're not serious yet. Now, they don't always buy with you or whatever. That's okay. But when I say profitable, I mean the time invested is so much more purposeful when you're actually doing the high level work with your friends in your sphere versus, grinding out internet leads. And not to say that grinding out internet leads is not part of the business. It's still part of our business. We still do 20, 30 deals a year like that. And we put people into our sphere that way. That's how new people get into our sphere. So we do about 2/3 of our business overall by gross dollar volume is friends and family and people who know us and referrals from people who know us. And that's much better business than doing that from online or door knocking or anything else.
Okay, so what would a perfect real estate agent's calendar look like if this was their main focus? They already realized that they're a database, relationship-based business anyway, and this is just plussing it. What would their calendar look like for this week?
Yeah, so I have this conversation a lot with my new agents and our sales manager. Basically, so if you're a new agent, you should probably be spending 5 or 6 hours a day on lead generation activities. Anything that you're going out and trying to meet people or making appointments with them. And then the rest of your time should be on training or appointments. As you mature your database, that is that people would call you to do business or people know you. I still think it's impossible to get below 2 to 3 hours a day of outbound lead generation. So whether that's door knocking or phone calls, really, more or less the only options, right? I don't know what else you could do that's outbound. And the door knocking, I think there's not a lot of people. I think people are not as good at door knocking as I think that they are. We don't do it, by the way, but I know lots of people who do very well at it, and I know lots of people who don't do it very well at it. So picking up the phone and calling for 2 to 3 hours a day is your job, right? There's no way past that. And if you tell me you're too busy, I want to know what you're doing all day, right? Whether that's you, Jenny, or your team member, or anyone else listening, like, what are you really doing, right? Like, you're on Facebook a lot, not you, but, everyone. Okay, great. But, like, what are you really doing? Like, if you had a real job and you had to get somewhere at 8:30, I got to my office at 8:30 this morning. My office did $1.2 billion in sales. We have 400 agents. The lights were off and no one was here, right? Imagine if we were all here making phone calls, what our sales would be. So what are you really doing all day? If you had a real job and you got to work at 8:30, you couldn't tell your boss, well, I was too busy to do my job, right? 2 to 3 hours lead gen, 2 to 3 hours showing, 2 to 3 hours training, email, work stuff, right? I don't know if I got the air quotes in this screen there. Got it.
I love it. So the coffees are just a part of your afternoon appointments that you'd go on.
Yeah, and I'm not great at it, but I am. I guess I'll purposely say trying. I'm looking at I have my Yoda thing. I'm not going to try to move them. I have, do or do not. There is no try. I am working purposely to make most of my appointments in the afternoon versus the morning. I am really working to protect my morning time because I feel like if I can get in here from 8:30 to noon or 1, I can get all my, my work done. I can get all my comps and contracts and emails done. I can get my outbound phone calls, and then I leave the office and I do my meetings.
Well, great. You already helped us build out a calendar for a newer agent. What does your team internal training look like? Because I'm really interested in this. We're doing this as well, so I want to hear more.
By the way, that's a 30-minute glass behind you, or an hour glass?
That's an hour.
It's a full hour. That's too long. You turned it over when you started. It's barely moved. You're up. My 30 seconds is up.
All right. See ya.
So our team training is, and we're always changing it. Someone told me, I forget who this was, so I can't attribute it, but someone told me an entrepreneur looks for something that's not broken, or that's fixed and breaks it, right? I forget who told me that, but
I like it.
So we're always changing our training. So we do an hour pump-up sales meeting Monday morning, and that's training. It's about 45 minutes. We do an hour full training with lunch on Mondays. We have, I don't know exactly, but I want to say an hour training call for all the agents and an additional half hour for the new agents. Plus they get homework and they're on script calls. So 3, 4, 5 hours a week minimum. And I would say that's really bare bones. Mm-hmm. And that's experienced and new agents. The new agents have a lot more homework to do. There's a lot more watch these videos, memorize these scripts, and come back and report back to us. We're also really big on the KW events training. I think if you're a team owner or running a team, it's an incredible way to offshore that expense. And if you're a solo agent, it's an incredible way to get a lot of training. So I've been to every family reunion since Anaheim 8 years ago. I've been to Mega Camp, I think 4 or 5 times. Mega Camp is usually challenging for me with my schedule, but I'm going to Austin 3 or 4 other times this year for training events, and I go to a lot of the regional stuff. And so you should be too, Jenny and anyone else watching. We all booked our tickets for family reunion in New Orleans in February. Like, have you done that? Why not? Like, if you are on a team, I think that's a great way to bring your team. I'm bringing my team to New Orleans. Everyone can earn into their ticket and their hotel room based on production. And if not, they pay for it. But we'll have 10 or 12 people there, and it's an incredible learning event. So if you're not really focused on learning, you can't get to where you want to be. So I don't know how else to make that more clear. It's just you have to be really heavily training focused. And even me, I do well with the sales, but I would tell you I'm pretty average at a lot of things, and I need to improve on them to get to where I want to be.
Well, it sounds like you've created a culture. You're a team that is a lead generating team that believes in being learning based. I mean,
I believe in that.
Well, it must be translating, or they wouldn't be on your team.
Yeah. Right. We work to instill that culture in people, but like Gary says, it's a journey, not a destination. So we're always trying to improve that process.
Yeah. So tell me about, you mentioned that wealth building is really important to you. So let's go into that subject.
Okay, cool. And you're a very good interviewer, by the way. I'm very impressed. So, this has been I can't pinpoint the origin of it, but it's been a fascination of mine. I just remember when I was a new agent, this is back 04, 05. I just sort of remember knowing big agents like, oh, you're doing, and back then, 2004, if you weren't in the business then, we had $15 million producers and people were like, wow, that's incredible, like annual producers. And now we're like, okay, if you're not doing $15 million a month, it's not a good month. And so I just remember knowing those people, and then they were making a lot of money, and then the money wasn't going anywhere. And this is not a conversation to judge someone or their finances, but this is more of a conversation about if you're in real estate and you're making good money, and you should be, right? This is a profession that rewards success. And if you're not making good money, it means you're not good at your job and you shouldn't be in real estate because your clients, need a good agent. So I hope that's not too obtuse of a point, but you wouldn't want to hire a doctor who wasn't doing so well in his doctor business, right? So if you're in real estate and you're doing well, you should be building wealth, and you should be helping your clients build wealth too. I mean, this is a conversation we have with our agents, but it translates exactly for our clients. And the conversation sort of became clear. Several years ago, I saw an NAR stat that realtors actually owned homes at a lower rate than the population as a whole. And it wasn't like, it was like a couple points lower, which is not a big deal, but realtors should own homes at 100%. The only reason you should own a home is if you're working towards owning a home. But we were actually below the average population, which is really disappointing. Yeah. And realtors own rental properties at a staggeringly low rate. And listen, this is a burnout business, right? You can't sell real estate forever. It's a really tough job. I've been doing it 15 years, and there's not a lot of people that I know who've been doing it more than 5 years. Quite honestly, in my market here, it's people last a few years and then that's it. So the bottom line is, I think that you should be buying real estate. I think if you're selling real estate and not buying it, I think there's sort of like an ethical quandary there about why you're pitching something you're not buying. If your stock guy is not buying the stocks he's telling you to buy, like, that's weird, right? Right. So I think as a realtor, if you're doing well, you should be investing in investment real estate. And I think that you should have a plan to retire off real estate. And I've written some blogs about this. They're really boring. Don't look for them. But yeah, the idea is basically, okay, how does Jenny figure out what her financial needs are? Like, let's say we did this example in my team. So I'll walk you through it real quick. Okay. If I'm being too long with anything, just touch your ear and we'll speed up. No. Okay. No ear. Okay. We're good. Nose means keep going. Okay. So we did this example with my team a few weeks ago. We said, what would happen if you had $5,000 passive coming to you? I'll do it with you, Jenny. So play along. So Jenny, what would happen in your life if you had $5,000 a month passive coming to you from rental properties? So like mostly passive, let's say.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably cover all or most or big chunk of your living expenses. Maybe you're very expensive, but let's say for most people, that's like, that probably covers a lot of their basic living expenses, mortgage, rent, car, food, etc. Okay. And how hard would that be to get? Do you have any idea? I don't know if you have any idea, Jenny.
How hard would it be to get that passive income? Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can help me figure that out.
Well, there you go. Okay, perfect. So that's a good lead-in answer. So, so we figured out at an average rate of return of 8%, you would need about $750,000 invested. So you would have to take $750,000 cash invested.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And my numbers may be slightly off because I'm just doing this off the cuff, but effectively they should be correct, and you should be able to figure out if you're on your own, if you want to change the numbers around. We were working off in our market, we think you can obtain an 8% rate of return on investment real estate, which may be a little high, but we think that's possible. Your market may be higher or lower, so you can play around with the numbers. Okay. And so if you say, Jenny, do you have $750,000? You say, well, no, I don't have that. No one really has that lying around. Jenny, could you save that up quickly? Or do you have any concept of how to save that up? And most people are like, this is an insurmountable number. I could never come up with it, right? Right. Is that a fair assessment? So we walked backwards through it. Okay, so let's say that after tax, let's say you have to pay a certain amount of taxes. And then we also went into conversation of some people had spouses that had incomes that covered their living. So their income was effectively all, profit to them. So that makes it a little more complicated. We basically came up with that an agent would need about $1.25 million in commissions earned to them after paying taxes, paying expenses. If there's a spouse, it makes it easier if the spouse is earning money to cover things. And that's a lot of money. If I say, Jenny, can you earn $1.25 million in commissions? That's a lot of money, right? So we said, well, it's not really that much. What if you made $200K a year for 6 years? You'd effectively make $1.25 million, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. So you start seeing the light bulbs go off, right? Okay, well, when I tell you to save 750, you're like, well, I can't do that. That's crazy talk. When I tell you to earn $1.25 million, it's crazy talk. But I say, well, you could earn 200 a year for 6 years, right? If you're pretty good at real estate, you should be earning that, right?
Yeah.
And well, okay, that's possible. And so basically the wealth building conversation goes from there. And then you loop back around to, okay, if you want to make 200K a year, you got to start calling some people out for coffee dates, right? Because that's how you're going to do it. And then you can business plan from there. And I'm looking at it's September now. We're going to start our 2019 business planning pretty soon too. And everyone watching should be thinking about it too. A lead you meet today will probably get you paid in 2019. So what do you have to do in 2019 to earn 200 plus so that you could put money aside for investing to a retirement and passive income? And the reason I bring it up with real estate is basically just that if you're great at real estate and you've been doing this, I think you've been doing it a long time. Yeah. So, but most people like don't expect that you're going to sell real estate at a high level for 10 or 15 years, unless you're building a team out. You're not going to be a direct salesperson for that long. It just doesn't happen. What's your 10-year plan of retirement? And the last thing I'll say, because I've definitely been going on a while now, is just that if you really have a goal and a really clear way to get there, your performance changes, right? When you know, okay, I have a 10-year plan to earn a certain amount of money and invest that money in real estate to build a retirement. And by the way, it's totally possible for people to do. Then it crystallizes why you're working. It crystallizes, why am I doing this open house on this Sunday when I can watch football? Why am I, picking up the phone at 8:00 at night or whatever it is? So it really gives you that drive and purpose to get the results that you want to get to. So I hope that was good. We'll edit this up later, right?
No.
No? Okay. Oh, boy.
Well, that is all. I love how you tie it all around. You ask lots of questions and they're going to get some clarity around it. And this seems real simple for you. And has it always been? And how did you get to a place where you realized your purpose and your passion to get you on the phone every day? Because, you didn't wake up and all of a sudden have 10 team members and 4 admin. So what's up here that gets you up every day to do this?
Well, I mean, look, this is the result of years of doing this and thinking about it. And, when I started in real estate, there was no teams. And like I said, you're a $15 million producer. I'm like, whoa. I mean, like I was at Prudential then. Every May you could repick desks. It was the stupidest thing. And like 15 million got you a private office, Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. And I didn't start in real estate thinking I'm going to sell $124 million one day and buy rental real estate to retire. I just kept thinking over and over, what's the point of doing this? And looking at where wealth comes from. And I don't want to have to work forever. And I don't think anyone wants to have to work. I want to choose to work. I do enjoy selling real estate because I still believe, like I said, this is for our clients and our agents and ourselves. I still believe that real estate is an incredible way to change people's lives. And so I have clients who I've helped buy a home that an inferior agent, I don't think, would have been able to achieve the same results. I have clients I've helped buy lots of rental property. And I tell people, and it's sort of weird to say, but rental property is really the easiest way that let's say your average person, let's not really dive too deep into what average person is. Let's just play along with it. But a lot of angry comments, like buying rental property is the easiest and maybe the only way for the average person to become financially well off or financially independent. And I've always been fascinated by the idea of being financially independent because I just don't want to be tied down to, a job for the rest of my life. I want to choose, I wake up excited to come in here and work with my team and occasionally to do these types of things and help people, help people change their financial futures by selling them the right piece of real estate.
Right. And that's why you have failed forward and have grown through the journey and you are still standing, is because you really at your core enjoy helping people and helping them change their lives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's really accurate. Yeah.
I think that's really important for agents that may be watching to understand, is that, we don't wake up one day and go, man, I just want to, crush my market. I want to dominate. I want to be number one. we wake up and are enthusiastic with the opportunity of helping people and connecting.
Yeah, that's right. Do you remember what it says on the cover of the MREA book, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the money. So it's really about, and if you ask Gary or you listen to Gary, he talks about the point of all of it. He said something at Mega Camp that was really interesting, that was just talking about like, and obviously very wealthy guy, but he's just like, I'm wearing the same $100 Nike you guys are wearing. I'm wearing the same $40, he's wearing a Black Labs polo that you can buy probably on the KW store. He's like, I'm wearing jeans from the Gap or whatever. He's like, I'm not really any different than you guys. The point of doing this is I want to do something for other people and leave a mark and change things. It's not about like, material possession or accumulation of wealth for no reason. So it's really about a passion of helping people and changing their lives.
Yeah. Well, what would you share as your final words for our audience that may be watching? We have agents of all different experience levels. What do you want to share with them that is just something you love to contribute?
I got to think about that one. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I think I sort of covered it. I mean, I really think that people should be focused on an end goal and this idea of helping people achieve wealth through real estate. I think what I would tell people is to really just like stop and like think about where they want to be. Think about really having a plan. I guess I'll end with a quick story, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe this will not get published, I think is what's going to happen. I met with someone, I won't say who at KW, but someone who is up there. And I was lucky enough to get like a very condensed coffee meeting at the last minute at Family Reunion one year. And he had a book with him that he carried around everywhere. And it had basically a modified 135 for everything he was doing. And this is someone who would never have to work again, and 100 generations will never have to. I mean, just done very well. But the point was that it all came down to he had a plan, and the plan was on him at all times. And it had the future self letters, which none of us have ever written, but we all make a note. We're going to write the future self letters. But he had a binder, and it had basically a 135 and a one thing for each business he was involved in. And that just really stuck with me of like, it's not like what Gary says, like these people who are very wealthy or stuff are not different than us or different than anyone else. But like, if you want to achieve that level of success, make a plan. The plan has to include effort. There's no circumvention to effort. You need to get out there and hit the pavement and meet people, and you need to make phone calls. And no one likes making phone calls. I don't like doing it. You probably like it, Jenny, but no one else likes it. But you need to work hard, and you need to train, and you need to have a plan, and you need to follow the plan. And if someone who's worth many times what any of us are worth is doing it, then we need to be doing it too, right? And we should be doing it as well as he's doing it to get to where he is. So
model those. Yeah, those have gone before us. We just need to model them and do what they do.
Yeah, exactly. I should have just said that and shaved 2 minutes of that with them.
Well, so when someone has a referral for you and your team in Los Angeles area, what's the best way they can get you?
They can email me at schulmanrd@gmail.com, or my cell phone is 310-482-0173, and we cover the whole LA area. We follow Gary through Inkblot expansion, so we have agents basically all over Metro LA, and we would love to help them. We do investments in condos and houses and land, and we've done some industrial, and we did 12 cannabis shops last year, which is very popular here. I don't know about Tulsa, but here it's super popular. So
what is it? Say that again.
Cannabis, the marijuana.
Oh, yeah. We don't have that yet. I think it's coming. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's just a new layer of disclosure you have to add to your file to get it paid, I think. So we've sold everything, so.
Well, I am so honored that you shared your valuable time with me, and I look forward to seeing you soon for sure in New Orleans.
I'll see you there, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. This is a fun call.
Absolutely. If you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Have a good one. Bye, Richard.
Right. Yep.